Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From the preseason NFL to college kicking off, BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our winner-take-all $300,000 NFL Survivor pool for the upcoming season. When the game's over, head over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and use the promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, and get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
This is the Fun Belt Podcast, part of the Believe Network.
Hosts are Dusty Thibodeaux of Warhawk Report, Jeremy Harper of Howlraiser, and Shane Mettlen of the Daily News Record.
I think it's potentially a very good week for the Sun Belt.
But I'm just kind of going off on a random rant. It's just frustrating. It's Shane, did you hit record? Since I'm not capable, did you hit record?
It looks like somebody did.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you and good night. No. We're back. Another episode of Fun Belt Podcast with the ODU Monarchists. The guys that actually gave us the best show probably ever of our 4-year run that nobody got to experience. So no pressure, guys. Now that the mic is shoved in your face, it is time to live up to the hype and talk about our favorite, weirdest team, the ODU Monarchs. Ricky Rana coming in once again off of a bowl game. We learned all about the insight there of coaching and bowl games, how his kids think that Christmas can only happen at a hotel during bowl season. He was up. He told the great story, and he always has the best stories. And I promise you one day I'll actually shut up and let y'all start talking. But he told the great story there about when he was at Penn State, took the ODU job so they didn't get to go to the Cotton Bowl. So his kids were so upset that they weren't going to Dallas. Santa Claus wasn't coming. It's just amazing to hear that side, so to say, of college coaching and the whole family aspect of it. But we welcome in Aaron and Mike. And Shane, as always, to break down the Monarchists as we are 1 week away from the kickoff of Sunbelt Conference football. Shane, first of all, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm better than I was Tuesday when I missed you guys, so I can't complain about that.
You missed our time with the king of onions, Ryan Nani, where we I still don't know what the hell we talked about, and it was a great episode. It was a lot of fun. We talked about college move-in days, so you can only imagine how that went in our college experiences and Jeremy's weird Jonesboro discussions of what goes on there at Arkansas State in their dorm rooms.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily disappointed to miss out on hearing about Jeremy's dorm, but
you can catch up with it on Spotify, Apple, and everywhere else that our podcast is available. Aaron, Mike, the ODU Monarchists, welcome in. Tell us, what are the expectations as we get ready to kick off this 2024 season of Sunbelt Conference football for Old Dominion?
It depends on who you ask.
I just asked you.
It's going to be an interesting season. I think anyone that you've heard talk about it besides maybe Ricky, look at the schedule. It is a daunting schedule this year. Obviously, week 1, we start out at South Carolina on the road. Got East Carolina the next week and the Virginia Tech at home. Go on the road to Bowling Green, who is going to be a pretty good squad this year. And then right into conference play. So there's a good chance this team is significantly better, but who knows what the actual record's going to be. But I think we'll talk a lot about that tonight.
So what Aaron didn't say is Ricky's been here. This is going to be his 4th season, 5th year here. While he's made 2 bowls and has been to more bowls than Bobby ever made, he still hasn't had a winning record. Our fans expect to win, and they want to win, and they don't care what the schedule says. They want a winning record. So I think if he wants to keep the faith of the Monarch Nation, he needs to continue showing progress that he showed last season.
Do you feel that he's on the hot seat, having not had that winning record? But I mean, in my eyes, he's had the success. I mean, he's been able to go to bowl games. He's got guys that are being poached, so to say, from the P5 schools. So it seems like he's running a pretty tight program there.
Yeah, I don't think this year is the year. What happens on the field will dictate whether he's here or not next year. He'll be here probably next year, but it'll decide how hot the seat is entering next season.
Yeah, I think it all depends on that progress. Seeing what the team looks like this year, this offense in its second year with Coach Decker at the helm there. I mean, we're going to have to see week by week what that looks like and where we're going. Obviously, the defense was the stronger suit last year. So only time will tell, but I agree with Mike there.
Do you look at, you say defense was a stronger suit last year, and I think, most people agree with that. What do you think about the offense going into this year? Obviously maybe a little bit more continuity quarterback wise. Is it going to be an improved offense?
So from what we've seen, yes, it will be improved. Ricky has continually said all offseason, year 2 of new offense is when it starts to click. Last year, running game was not the issue. We ran the ball pretty well. The passing game was the issue. We led the country in sacks. We had the second to lowest time possession in the country. We were going for those deep shots way too often, and it was a kind of all. You can't blame it on one unit on the field. It wasn't just the quarterback. It wasn't just the O-line. It was kind of everybody all together. There was a lot of discussion about the receivers and their issues with the route concepts. O-line obviously gave up a lot of sacks, and Grant missed a lot of throws. I think he had like a 25% missed throw rate, which was one of the worst in the country. So we have a lot to clean up, but from what we've seen, sacks, one way to avoid sacks is kind of shortening the routes and not going for those deep shots so often. And we're going to see that this year.
How big is that, though, that you do have Grant Wilson coming back? You're not having to kind of break in another quarterback in year 2 of that offense. He kind of knows what's expected. He knows what's going to be called in certain situations, and really is maybe a leg up on any guy behind him.
Yeah, the vibe this offseason has been very different from last year. Last year, he was battling with Jack Shields, and it wasn't until midway through the season that he won that job, really. This offseason, it's been his job pretty much all offseason. He stepped up as a leader, and you can kind of see how that impact has changed the team as a whole.
Yeah, one consistent running theme that we've seen with the amount of time that we've been blessed to be around the team is that the team seems much closer. Last year, more individuality, whereas in the offseason here, all the guys are talking about is how much time they've spent together, not just training and not just on the field, but off the field. And they certainly seem it. And I think that's going to pay off. I think there's a lot more cohesiveness. They're working together. I think it's going to make a big difference. You can feel it. It's tangible.
So on the offensive side, we know that we have Grant Wilson coming back. We have Mr. Tackle in Jason Henderson on the defensive side. What brought him back? Because surely he had the chances to move on to the bigger, better schools. All right, bad wording there. They're not bigger. They're bigger. They may not be better. But the chance to kind of get that early bag going to the P5 schools and maybe even into the pro ranks. What brought him back, though, to ODU?
Well, I think there's a multitude of reasons. The first one that a lot of people will point out is Jason had an injury at the end of the year. So that was a big uncertainty to what that future looked like. So it made sense to come back there. But anyone who talks to Jason, he's talked about how everything that he needs is right here at Old Dominion, and there's no need for him to go anywhere else. The training staff, the support staff, the fans, everything that he needs to be successful has been here and has been here the entire time. And so he's never seriously considered, going anywhere. We don't see that very often. We actually have two of those guys on the squad. Jason's one of them that's been here for his entire career. Santana Saunders, offensive line, is the other guy. So in this new world of portal and people moving around 3-4 schools, we've got two of those guys, and it's pretty special, and it shows how much of a leader they are here.
Yeah, throw in Isaiah Page in that mix too. One of Ricky's first recruits. Jason is incredibly loyal. The injury probably played a role, but we're lucky to have him. If you watch him in person, that's all it takes is one time in person. You see how gifted and how relentless that guy is.
Going back to the schedule a little bit, you mentioned what that non-conference slate looks like, and that happening early. And, there's a lot of road games on there too, like up until mid-October. If it's a little bit of a rough start, how do you kind of anticipate this group responding to that? Because you talk about, there being like a togetherness and everything about it. How much will that help when you look at just how challenging things are early on?
Well, I got to give Ricky credit for his tenure here. We've had a tough schedule almost every season, and he somehow, other than one season, has been able to keep the guys focused and on the grind. I mean, our two bowl games, we didn't clinch until the last week of the season, both times. And it's because of slow starts with tough non-conference schedules. So I think Ricky's already proven he can keep them motivated and on task and kind of focused on the end goal to never quit. I think one thing that gets overlooked with Old Dominion last season is how close they were to the conference title game. I mean, they finished the Coastal game or the JMU game. They're in the conference title game.
The bet online over under for Old Dominion this upcoming season, 4.5 games. So 5 wins. How are you seeing the season shaping up? Over or under?
I'm all over the over. 4.5. I don't think we don't get the credit for the recruiting that Ricky does. It's probably because of the areas of the country that he focuses on. It's not all the hotbeds of recruiting. We go into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and we do well. And those types of recruits just aren't rated the same way that these other states that most of the Sun Belt recruits, like Georgia, Mississippi. I think this is a very talented roster. The depth is there. The team believes in the depth. Seiler told us yesterday, we've never had this much depth at Old Dominion. So I'm very bullish on this team and ready for them to surprise people.
Yeah, I agree on this one. I think this is the year that Ricky and his staff are really able to kind of put it all together. The team, I believe, is going to be over 500. I don't know what that number is going to be because it's pretty daunting, but this will be the year that Ricky goes over the hump, and it's a difficult schedule to do that. So I would consider it to be a very successful season if that's the case.
So when you look at the league as a whole, y'all have 2 Western crossover games there with Texas State, Arkansas State, probably the 2 toughest teams there in the West. But how do you see it kind of shaping up in the East to be able to face that Western team, hopefully hosting a conference championship game?
Well, before we talk to the East, can we just ask you guys who that ODU's pissed off to in the whole scheduling world to get these difficult West teams every year?
No.
This is a PSA, or public sock announcement. Experts have declared Bombas socks as the best way to warm up chilly feet. These pairs are super cushy, soft, and designed for maximum coziness. Plus, for every pair purchased, another pair will be donated, so someone in need of essential clothing can stay warm this winter. Go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
has JMU at home, which is an advantage because there's the voodoo on the bayou where it's tough to play there, but then have to go to Marshall. So everybody's going to have that weird, random, tough draw whenever it happens. It just so happens that this is the year that Butch Jones's mythical 20th year or whatever he's at there in Arkansas State is the year that y'all draw them. And in Texas State, yeah, they have the reigning player of the year and the preseason offensive player of the year, or no, that was Aguilar. The reigning player of the year from last year there, Jordan McLeod. Sorry, he got the bag of money and went to San Marcos.
I think I was more pulling the pin on the grenade tossing over to Shane about JMU's draw.
Yeah, it's wild for ODU, and because like if you go back 2 years ago, you'd have been celebrating like getting Arkansas State and Texas State, and I think they probably kind of put together like the matrix for that a while back, and there's a rotation and everything, but like it did not work out very well for you guys. Like that's a rough one this time.
What I'm confused is, why are we playing Arkansas State for the second time already?
I don't know. There's some weird things in that too. Like, JMU did that with well, now I'm drawing a blank. I was gonna say they played Texas State twice, but that's not true. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't quite understand how they came up with it, but it's luck of the draw, I guess. But it's it didn't. I can see why you guys would be a little bit shaking your heads looking at that this time around.
So when you look at the West, you're on the outside looking in. How do you see the West kind of shaking up, knowing that you'll get to see probably the top two teams there in the West?
I don't know. I never really doubt Louisiana. I probably put them into the mix there. Troy has been dominant since we joined, even though they have all that turnover and a coaching change going on. But I think it's going to be really interesting. This is probably going to be the most interesting year in the West we've had so far, because you got more depth than we've ever had in the West.
Yeah, we get that interesting last game of the season with the what is it, the water features? I think that Kara told us what it's actually called there.
Yes,
So,
the water features of Centennial Bank Stadium.
Yes, so I'm hoping that game on November 30th is a pretty meaningful game for both teams.
Yeah, it very well could be. And I think, though, that it'll be another year where we're still waiting to see who's going to be hosting or even playing in that conference championship game whenever Thanksgiving's rolling around, which I kind of like that. I don't like the teams that kind of run away and really halfway through the schedule, you're already knowing who's going to be playing in it and things are falling into place. I like the chaos.
Yeah, I don't know if it works this way, but with the water features, it reminds me of Kauffman Stadium of the Kansas City Royals. And I know ODU is almost like a farm club for the Royals. So maybe there'll be some like comfort level for the Monarchs getting there, even if it's a little bit of a cross sport thing.
I'm just hoping for a continuance of the weirdness that Old Dominion football had last year, because 11 one-score games, it was just a wild season to watch as a fan. The App State game was crazy. Georgia State was wild. Like, there was just so much up and downs that it was just, looking back, it's just a wild. Like, I don't know how all of that fit together, but it did.
It's crazy. So if for some reason there's any cardiologist in the Hampton Roads area that's tuning in to the Fun Belt podcast here, they're welcome to sponsor the Monarchist podcast, because every single football game we have seems to be a stress on about 20,000 people's hearts.
And not just a normal, oh, that was a close game. Like, that's why we always jokingly and affectionately love the Monarchists, that it's the weirdest games ever. And it's things that you're just like, Shane, did you see that game that happened? No, what happened? Bruh, you're not going to believe me when I tell you. So we talked about it last episode, and I feel like it's a great carryover, because it's still kind of move-in time for college campuses. Shane, it might have been a little while for you, but tell us about your move-in experience back at your Kansas days.
It's been a long time. Okay. Good story from my move-in was a guy who is like basically my best friend now, 25 years later, walked into our room the first day, put a ironing board down in the middle of the room and turned around and left without saying a word. And we're like, what is this guy doing? And, later on we were like, hey, come get your ironing board. He's like, that's not mine. They told me to bring that, leave it, and give it to you guys. And he kept this joke going for like a week, like not claiming like that it was his ironing board. Like never met him before, hadn't spoken to him before. Got a good idea like what his personality and sense of humor was like. And so those are the kind of weird things I think people maybe encounter on move-in day.
Monarchist, I think both of y'all went to Old Dominion. What was it like there in Virginia? Oh,
Well,
Aaron,
I didn't know. I didn't go into Old Dominion until much later as an older person doing a career switcher program. I actually went to Mary Washington College in Fredericksburg, Virginia, for my undergrad. Which I love the Eagles. Division III though, baby. But I didn't know a single person when I went off to Mary Wash. So it was a very interesting and growing experience in my life. That was before there were phones in rooms and no cell phones, hall phones, like the phone booth. You actually had to go knock on people's doors to see if they were home.
That's crazy time.
Back in the olden days, back in the 19s.
Yeah, and I am an Old Dominion alum, but like Aaron, I did a career kind of transition early on. I went to Tennessee as a 18-year-old, graduated from there. My first day, the one thing I keep looking at all these pictures is how much stuff these kids are bringing now. And I remember I had my car, and other than my car, I had my golf clubs in my car. I had a suitcase, and I had a laptop, and that was it. You
had a laptop.
Yeah.
You're young.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, man, we barely had internet.
Yeah. We had it, but it was like, calling the roommate like before you go and thinking, I might bring a computer. Were you going to bring a computer? I don't know if there's room for both of us to have one. So
I had a computer that I had strapped to my back. I somehow kind of affixed it as a backpack. So, guys, what else is happening in the powder blue world of Old Dominion that we need to be aware of as we get ready to kick off the season here in about a week?
Well, men's soccer got their first win today. They were on the road to GW. Lieutenant McVeigh, the new head coach, after Alan Dawson. I think Alan was there for 27 years, Mike, something like that. So new era of Old Dominion men's soccer, got off to a good start. Monarch fans are listening. You want to get out a chance to watch those guys because they're playing a different style of soccer, more upbeat, more pressuring style. It's a fun brand of ball to watch.
Are those games streamed on the Plus?
They are. Today's was as well. Nice. And today's against GW was too, because they're playing an A10 team.
You got to get into the soccer, Tibbs. I know ULM doesn't have it, but Sunbelt's a power conference in the sport.
Yeah, I follow it from afar. We have women's soccer. We just don't have the guys doing it.
And I'll add this for Monarch World. While we all are stoked about football season and can't wait for week one, a lot of fans are very excited about basketball season as well. Mike Jones coming back to his alma mater has built quite a roster, and he's not done yet.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed having Mike Jones on the show. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and he was great to talk to on and off the air.
Yeah, the rest of that staff is the real deal too, and not just Odell, who he's brought back. I mean, those guys are locked in. A couple opportunities that Mike and I have got a chance to go during the summer and watch these guys. We're really excited, and of course, on the other side with Delisha and her squad, they're as intense as ever, and we liked what we saw when we were out there in late July or early August, I think it was, Mike.
Last thing I have for you, it came out. I love it. I'm already on my third school. NCAA football. Have y'all broken out the Xbox, the PlayStation? What's your record? What's it look like?
So yeah, I actually had to buy a new Xbox just for this game, and I'm happy I did. Old Dominion is dominating. We played yesterday the 2025 Sun Belt Championship game against South Alabama, and they had a 5-7 record out of the West, which I didn't even look at the standings yet, but I don't really understand that.
I guess that was their only wins.
It has to be, but it means the rest of the West also kind of cannibalize each other.
Yeah,
It's pretty realistic.
in a rough non-conference.
Oh, yeah.
I do not have it, but it's been very interesting to talk with the football players and the coaches about it, and they're really enjoying it and playing, checking out each other's ratings, giving each other a hard time of whether the ratings are too high, too low, if they're too fast or too slow. Ricky was asked about it on Scott Jackson's show the other day. He's playing with his son. He said he absolutely hates it because his son is whooping his ass and he hates to lose anything to his kids. That his son throws for 1,000 yards and scores 100 points in every game.
Now, we talked to Bryce Duke about it yesterday as well, and he was not happy with his rating. They did not give him his – he thinks he should be a better pass catcher, and most people agree. But we also talked about Devin Roche, who's the third or fourth back right now. He's the best back in the game for Old Dominion.
Interesting.
Not by ratings, but just by use because of the skill set they gave him. He's a freak on that game. So if you ever play with Old Dominion, make sure you give Devin Roche the ball.
You'd be shocked at the speed.
Did you guys encounter anybody who didn't get their paperwork in on time and now is a little disappointed that they're a generic player on there?
Not yet, but I wanted to ask some of the transfers that came in late. What's the story there? Are they going to get in the game? Like, how does that work?
It sounds like there's still an opportunity for some people to be in the next updates and stuff, but I know it was that was something I heard from SIDs back when they were trying to get all the signatures, so everybody got their $600 or whatever it was. It's you're never going to get an entire team to all get their paperwork turned in by the deadline. But
you were serious? Yeah, I really needed to sign something. Oh, come on! Yeah. By
so
that date?
Apparently, it was a website you had to go to actually kind of sign the releases and everything, and then there was an app you had to download to kind of take pictures of yourself for them to be able to kind of get the features at least somewhat close.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what they did with Quan Dunbar. He's a tight end. He's very athletic, but he's very skinny. On the game, he looks like an NFL tight end with his size. He's huge. I don't know if
he probably had Santana take pictures on the app for him.
I feel like he went and lifted and he took all of his pictures when he had the pump going. Because he is massive in the game.
If you could go back to your 18, 19-year-old self, you would be doing everything you possibly could. You might even be like, hey, Shane, you're a little bit taller. How about we figure out a way to crop your head off and then still be able to upload it into the app?
It was just like you're doing those push-ups before that date in college, trying to make yourself look like you were a little stronger.
I was thinking more like Vegas Vacation, how they're on the strip with the fake ID that you're doing whatever you can to make sure you're of age or a little bit taller, a little bit faster.
What was that, Mr. Papa Giorgio, something like that?
Yeah, Nick Papa Giorgio.
Okay, well, I'm going to put you on the spot. I want to know what your prediction is in week 1 at Old Dominion at South Carolina.
I think South Carolina has the opportunity to start 0-1 because I think Old Dominion has enough pieces that are still kind of a mystery. I think that South Carolina does have a little bit of an edge with Sean Elliott coming in and having that exposure to see what Old Dominion can do and knows a little bit more about what Ricky Ronnie is, that they're going to put up a good fight. But I still think that the Monarchists, yeah, y'all, you two guys.
Oh, we're definitely going to win the tailgate. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. But I think the Monarchs have a great shot to pull out the upset and definitely cover the spread. I think the early spread was it 2 touchdowns?
20.
20. Still
It opened at 20. And I think once the public gets involved, that number will probably go up a little bit, just because the public is the public. I can't wait to get down there and just experience South Carolina. I haven't been there since I was probably 20 years old. So I want to see how the stadium's changed. They didn't do Sandstorm the last time I went there. So very interested to see how that game day experience has changed.
Yeah, Mike was asking me what time we wanted to leave on Friday, and I told him the earliest that he can get out of his house. So we're ready to get on the road right now.
Well,
So
I was trying to figure out if I can get a round of golf before we left. But
why not just do one in South Carolina?
Yeah, find a evening mixer to go to.
Yeah, we had on our X account when we all did the over-under on the Bet Online spreads at the 4.5. Shane and I took the over. Jeremy took the push, meaning I still don't know how you get a half a win, but at 4.5. So I think they're another 6-win team and headed into the postseason. I'd love for them to make it to New Orleans, where I get a chance to see them live and in full effect.
We would love to go back to New Orleans. Me and Aaron were there for the Final Four a couple of years ago, and can't wait to get back. If there is a way to have a half of a win or a loss, we'll figure it out.
We're gonna figure out how to do that.
That's why we always say, let's get weird.
I'm guessing a lightning strike, like a lightning shortened game in overtime.
That could easily do it.
Well, I guess let's get specific. You guys have picked the over on that. What is your specific prediction for a record for ODU this year?
Oh, I mean, my individual game picks are funny, but I think we're going to end the regular season 7-5. That's where I think we're going to land.
I think that's fair. I think we'll probably get win 7 in a bowl game.
So we're going to go. We're going to go in 6-6.
And then win that bowl game for once to finish with a winning season for the first time since David Washington was our quarterback in 2016. And it has been a while.
A long time. I mean, y'all know that this is the first time we've had an incumbent quarterback coming back since what, 2014?
Since Taylor Heineke's last year here.
That's crazy.
I think I read that somewhere.
And I think this is the first time under Ricky we've had a coordinator 2 years in a row on the offensive side of the ball. Continuity could do us really well this season.
Yeah, that'll be a big story too. I think if you get off to a good start too, I think that's something that people are going to latch on to, because that's a crazy stat to not have that continuity, either a coordinator or quarterback for that long.
Shane, you're either concentrating really hard or you have more internet issues.
I
just don't know which one it is.
Yeah,
you always have internet issues.
I know. I'm gonna have to. I think I need a new computer. I need to get a new computer. I'm about completely full.
The Daily News Record doesn't provide that for you?
They might if I ask.
Guys, we close out our show with our plugs, promos, and parting shots. We'll kick it to you, Mike, to start us off. You can either plug something, cut a promo of something that you want, or give a parting shot of just news of the weird or something that's ruffling the feathers as we get ready for the season.
ODUmonarchist.com. Visit it for all of your Old Dominion sports information.
Aaron, what do you have for us?
Well, I'm going to promote our merchandise. So we've got a number of pretty freaking awesome T-shirts. You can find them at ODUmonarchist.com, the shop area, where we've got all of our shirts that we have on there. We've got ball caps, everything. All the proceeds either go back to the Old Dominion Athletic Foundation, to the Pride of ODU Collective, or to an individual student athlete that we're partnered with on the NIL front. We don't keep a single penny. Everything goes back to the school, the student athlete, or a charitable cause.
I will add on to that. We have a Henderson for Heisman shirt. Obvious reasons. First two-time All-American at Old Dominion. We are pushing him for the Heisman.
I like it. Shane, what do you have for us other than reading the Daily News Record?
Yeah, I'll plug that just because the season's about to start. So if you want to read, dnronline.com/sports, you can follow all the football coverage we got coming up and everything. I'll do a little bit of a parting shot since I've got these guys here. JMU, really recently, their collective launched a bourbon brand. I know last year when I was out in Huntington, I really enjoyed picking up some Herd Country Lager. So what's the best thing to imbibe in when it comes to ODU branded stuff, if you want to just take the edge off just a little bit after a game?
So Old Dominion launched a beer last year with New Realm Brewing. It's a pretty good beer. It actually was the second most popular college craft beer for CLC last year. So it's obviously popular. But our partnership with the collective has an exciting beer coming very soon with a partner. The Monarchist logo will be on it. We are very excited about it.
Is that legal to ship to other states that may or may not start with a T?
As a sometimes bourbon trader, I can definitely ship you liquor or beer.
I love it. I look forward to having that, and we'll take many, many pictures of sipping it down while watching the Warhawks or Viva La Boobcats.
But I will need, is there a Warhawk beer?
There is.
So we're going to have to do a trade.
I love it. That is with Flying Tiger. They have the Warhawk. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, they have one. It's pretty good. I like it. It's better when you're there, of course, in person, fresh off the tap, but still pretty good. For mine, I really have nothing. I apologize that it has been just one of those days, one of those weeks. So I'm just going to do the Shane Mettlen special of plugging DNR Online. No, not DNR Online. WarhawkReport.com as we get ready for the Warhawks to kick off against Jackson State on the 29th. And then get ready for that big UAB game in week 2. We always want the Sun Belt to beat the Americans, so definitely looking forward to that. Also, check us out on YouTube for Funbelt PC, as well as on the X at Funbelt PC there as well. So appreciate it, and we will talk next week as we get ready to kick off week 1.
This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy. I'm cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes. And that's because I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and t-shirts that give back. 1 purchased equals 1 donated. Now go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.